Hello, my name is Tom Dubick. I've had the incredible good fortune of being a teacher for the past 25 years. And at Charlotte Latin, we have taught engineering more than 20 of those years. When they talk about STEM education, oftentimes we're talking about engineering. Now, the class of girls you see here were my 7th grade girls engineering program. In the middle school, we divide engineering up by the sexes. Boys engineering, girls engineering. We also have high school engineering. We have a lot of goals of the classes. Goals we want to use math and science to solve problems. One of the other important goals for us is the idea that we want our students, our future leaders, to be technology creators, not just consumers. So with that in mind, I'd like to share what these young ladies have accomplished. Go ahead, India.
So, many of you probably had annoying siblings growing up. If they were anything like my sister, they'd probably try and break into your room, steal your things, bother you, etc. If you asked me how I'd serve a Raspberry Pi, I'd say that I would use it to solve a problem like this one. This semester in engineering, we started programming with a software called Scratch. I got interested in it quickly. When Mr. Dubick told us about coming to the TED Talk, I decided that I was going to solve a problem that many 13-year-old girls face every day. Younger sisters that break into your room just to bother you. I decided to use an old kitty doorbell and combine it with a Raspberry Pi and an Adafruit prototyping plate. I found a tutorial for an SFX door trigger on Adafruit and adjusted it to fit my needs. First, I had to solder the headers onto a prototyping board, then wire it to a motion sensor and magnetic switch sensor. The motion sensor senses movement outside the door, and the magnetic switch sensor senses when the door opens. The sensor itself goes on the door frame, and when the door opens, the magnet and the sensor come apart and the circuit is incomplete, causing the alarm to go off. Now, because I can't bring a door on stage, I created a short video to demonstrate my alarm. Next up is my friend Katie.
If you had asked me this summer to write you a story about a lily pad and a Raspberry Pi, I would have spun you a tale about frogs and fruit. After a semester of engineering with Mr. Dubick, I can now tell a tale of lights, conductible thread, programming, and a $35 computer that supports the changing whims of a 13-year-old girl. First, let's talk about the lights and the lily pad. The lily pad Arduino is a programmable logic controller that lets you create simple programs to control lights, buzzers, and things like that. In engineering this semester, we learned how to use Scratch to create simple programs. So my dad and I started playing with sample code for the lily pad Arduino. I understood how to make the lights flash, and I figured I would create some wearable art with flashing lights. So my dad and I wrote a simple program to make the lights flash in a pretty pattern. The next day at school, my plans for wearable art changed from pretty to practical. That day, someone tripped over my rolling backpack. Again. And said with these exact words, "Sorry, didn't see the rolling backpack there." Then it hit me. Instead of putting lights on a jacket, why not create turn signals and a brake light for my rolling backpack? So my father and I changed the code to create the turn signals and stoplight. We used the Raspberry Pi to write, compile, and program the LilyPad Arduino. We worked with my mom to connect the lights, switches, and the LilyPad with conductible thread. I still think that's cool, sewing a circuit. Anyway, we sewed it all onto a cool fabric sleeve, being very careful that none of the threads crossed each other, and that's how I ended up where I am now, with turn signals and a brake light for my rolling backpack. So today, when I tell you a story about lily pads and Raspberry Pis, it's not a tale of a frog on a lily pad eating a Raspberry Pi. It's the story of a 13-year-old girl who learned how to build and program an electronic contraption to solve a common problem.
Bye.